think we got enough people to start talking about this.
Excellent. I see some familiar names and faces, which is amazing, and some new as well. And this is, in fact, our first Substack Live. So I'm going to say hi in the chat. There you go. My first post. I
All
think you
right.
all will be able to post back, and we're going to be asking you to do some things in here as well. So be ready for that.
Okay. So, Jenny, you give us the blueprint info. A lot of people here know what the blueprint is and what it can do for you, but still, you know what? I love it. I like it to be laid out for me every single time. So, and every time you say it, it feels a little different. So, yeah.
Well, I will say it. I'll say the thing. If you are new to the blueprint or a veteran of it, maybe you're somebody who's done it before or coaches it or all the things, it is still worth thinking about what we're doing here and why we're doing it. And this blueprint is a tool to help you take a minute to step back and pause and take a minute to think about what you're doing with whatever you're writing, whether you're starting a new idea, revising it, or rescuing something that's not working. So think of it as a pause. We're doing this in community and we're doing it over a period of time. And these exercises may seem simple, they may seem like things that you can toss off, but the work is to actually engage with the questions and to take the time to really look inside and think about what you want to do and feel what you want to do and be able to convey that to somebody else. So, the goal of doing that work in this very prescribed way, these 14 questions in this prescribed period of time, is for you to have a really deep level confidence about what you're working on and to get out of the habit, which we all have, of figuring it out while you write. So many writing things tell us get the words done, sit down, do it, go faster, produce the pages. Very few things ask us to stop and think. And when you do that, you will come out with a clarity that we hope will then propel you to be able to write forward and finish with strength and confidence. And we're doing it here in community, which KJ will talk about because she's going to be hosting the ride-alongs and the write-ins and the AMAs and all the things. Mainly because she's in it with you. She's in it with you. So, you want to talk about that, KJ?
So, I've been writing a little bit about this all week and sort of coming back to I did do a blueprint for the project that I am working on, and I have been taking this opportunity to come back and look at it again, and I am just realizing how incredibly much I put in there and how much I need to rely on it, and also how how much I don't wanna do that, if that makes any sense. Like, I would really just I could sit down I think I could sit down I probably have 40,000 words to go on this book. I could sit down and knock out 40,000 words this month. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. They would probably not be the right 40,000 words to end this story. They'd end the plot, but I keep veering away from the thing that's important. I keep veering away from the things that I wanna say and the people I want my protagonist and my other point of view characters to be, and or alternatively, there's also a decent chance they won't finish the plot. I don't I We were talking to someone this morning who was describing it like it's like when you start to try to think about how to actually put the book together, it's like a wall comes down. It's like, bam, you just can't y y you just can't get past it, and I feel that so strongly whenever I start thinking, "Oh, but how am I gonna resolve this part of the plot, and how am I gonna get that to fit into this bit, and, oh, I mean, do we even care about that anymore, and, oh my gosh, I lost that thing completely." Um, to do the work of the blueprint is to know, or at least have a way to find out which of the things that you've got in there are important, and to keep your eye on those things. Um, I just it really it for me, it makes a huge structural difference in coming out with a draft that's a real draft.
That's right. What we're doing is separating out the decisions that you have to make about your story and what it is and who it's for and why it matters and all those things from the actual writing. And that's what's going to propel it forward. So, before we really get into it, we're doing this in community. And any time writers come together in community is powerful because it's solitary work that we all do. And here we are together. Look, there's 48 people already on this call who are all over the world coming to do this work with you. And it means you're not alone. And it means that you've got people here to lift you up. And this is a space where we want to lift up all writers, all ideas, all stories, all people. And so to start that, we would love to hear in the chat what genre you're working in. If you'd like to share where in the world you're coming from, that might be fun too. And then here's the work, and it might take you a little minute to get this together, which is, what are you writing about? So that's your plot or your topic only for right now. 2 super short sentences. And anytime you see something in the chat, maybe someone lives near you, maybe they're writing something like you, maybe you're interested in their story, you can respond to them. So that's what we're asking, is for what you're writing and what it's about in 2 sentences only. So that's what we got. We'll see if anybody's going to go for it.
Meanwhile, the first thing that we're gonna ask people to do this week, we got 2 assignments, and they're both gonna seem really short, and they both can literally take you a lifetime. I come back to these I should come back to them every time I open up my draft. I would do better. So we are going to talk about, we're going to suggest that you find your why. Why, as a writer, why are you doing this? Why do you want this? Is going to take a lot of time. It would take a lot of time to do badly. It will take way more time to do. Oh, so I'm sorry. I am noting that we can see people in the chat.
And they can't see each other?
Well, but here is someone who can. No, people can.
But Tanya can't. This is weird.
I'm
Guys,
sorry,
this
Tanya.
is our first Substack Live. We don't know what we're doing.
I cannot explain that to you. I would strongly suggest you ask Uncle Google, because Uncle Google and his friend Chat can probably answer this. That's all.
Okay, so some people can, but for reasons Tanya can't. I don't know, Tanya.
Probably got to do. It's sorry, kids. It's something in your settings. Somebody go figure that out and tell people if you can. Meanwhile,
and this is awesome. I see some people.
What people who can see it does. Someone's noting it's anything after you join, and it takes a minute. Okay,
got it.
I see chat people. Okay.
But I see several people writing about caregivers. So find each other, connect with each other. You can help each other as we go through this, which is cool. And I see some on nonfiction, which is Una and Lane Arnold, who I know about her book. So it's great to see you all here. So if you have anything you want to respond to people that you're seeing, please do that.
Yeah. Back to this question of this week's assignment. The first is the writer-facing piece of this. This is you. Why? Why do you want to, like I said, why do you want to spend so much time on this? It would take a lot of time to write this badly. It will take way more time to do it right. What is it about this that is driving you? And it is fine to start from, I just want to be a writer. I just want to be heard. Like start with that part of you. I mean, for me, it has always been a sense that nobody was listening to me for various reasons. But you got to go past that. That's not enough of a why for this project. And you got to get to why do you want to entertain? Why do you want to be a bestseller? Why do you want this particular space? Why this? Why this?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm going to shout.
So I think that was KJ's dog barking. So, folks have shared, maybe where they're from and what they are, writing. Everybody loves KJ's glasses. She has on different glasses than she did earlier today. I'm just saying, she's got a lot of cool glasses. And, we also now are gonna ask you to give a shot. Are we gonna ask them that at sharing their why, KJ?
Um,
Or is it too soon?
y if you feel like you've got a why and you wanna drop it into the chat, yay. There is also an ongoing chat for this that it'll appear in the hashtag #AmWritingChat, chat, which you can access on Substack, and it will also, um, the link to it is in it'll be in every, email that we send about this. So every email with the assignments and every email with the times and all of the rest of that. So it'll be in there. So you got a chance to do
Yeah,
that.
you have
Yeah,
minute
if you
you have
feel like, if you feel like you can do it. Um, the thing I
indeed.
think y- maybe if somebody starts to share some of them, then Jenny and I can do what is our job here, which is to push back. Okay, somebody just said, I want my daughter to know her, or I just pulled you, sorry, just because you were at the bottom. I want my daughter to know her origin story and that making bad decisions doesn't have to ruin your life. Okay, just from that, I can get I get an idea of what you might be writing about, which is amazing to have something that is a really clear why. I don't, can you push back? Push on that, Jenny. This is your masterpiece. I'm kind of like, ooh, that's pretty good.
It is pretty good. And the reason why we're judging this at all, anybody's why at all, is because we find that it's pretty easy to give a top level surface answer to this question of why are you writing a book? And there are a lot of different reasons for why people write. There's a lot of different reasons for why people read. And some of your why, what I really want you to do is think about your external why and your internal why, both of them. So an external why might be what this writer shared. I want my daughter to know something about something I believe. Your external why might be these characters won't let me go. I've wanted to do this forever. I've been working on this for 10 years. I want to be famous. I want to leave my job. I want to make a boatload of money. These are all external reasons, and they're all powerful and good reasons to own what that why is. And then we also want to get deeper into the internal why. And that internal why is the one I saw a comment flash by about KJ has shared that her why currently stands at 855 words. KJ's been working
I
on her.
boiled it down. No, you pushed me. But Jenny earlier today was like, "Yeah, come on, no."
I was going
I
to
have
say,
boiled that
KJ,
down, and it is in the larger chat. So that's an incentive to go there and look at it. I boiled it down to about that much. I think it's 2 sentences. It might be 3, and then I linked it to the point, which is what we're going to ask you all to do as well. So our co-host Jess Leahy is in here because she's also going to blueprint. So I think we're going to prod her a little bit about her why, because it's
ooh,
not in.
fun.
So
Uh,
Jess said her why is because these characters have been speaking to me since 2009 and I want to do right by them. That's great. Why these characters? Why? Why are they speaking to you? You don't have to, I mean, you don't have to answer this. And in fact, this is glorious. Jess can't answer this.
oh, because she's not.
She can because she can put it in the chat, but she's not on here. So, um, but yeah, that's. I think you need a why this story. I know a little bit about the thing that she's working on, and I suspect that I know that it's YA, and some of her why is going to go to her desire to work with young people to help people who are going through some things that she has been through to get through them themselves to talk in a voice that young people can understand and hear and I'm trying to just and also to help them feel seen. I think those are probably some of Jess's whys, but you got more.
Yeah. So the why is,
Saying, "Yes, I really wanna write a coming of age story." But then that's there you go, it just begs it, doesn't it? Why?
and you keep asking why. That's the thing. You keep asking yourself why. Why coming of age? Why does that matter to you? Why is it important to you? Why do you care? Because here's the thing. You're going to spend years working on this book, writing this book, bringing this book into the light, and then you're going to spend years talking about this book. I actually had a really cool thing happen which illustrates this. It actually has nothing to do with me. It's just I'm taking it on as my own thing. There's a kid who went to high school with my kids. My kids are 30 and 32 years old. He won the Golden Globe last night. He wrote the 5 of the big hits in uh K-pop Demon Hunters, which is like the
Nice.
biggest hit on the planet right now. This kid was just like a theater kid in the high school my kids knew, right? And he was brilliant back then for sure. Everybody knew, he's gonna do something or whatever the thing is. But I have heard, because I've been following him obsessively since the show came out. I have heard him on Access Hollywood, The Today Show, like 47 different media outlets talking about writing the hit song Golden and like telling the same story over and over again and having to bring that energy and that passion and what it meant to him and to his co-writer, EJ, who's the failed K-pop, star who's had this resurrection. Like it's an incredible story, and they're out there having to tell it again and again and again and again. I think they're going to win all the awards. They're going to have to. He's going to be talking about that song for the rest of his life, and so you're going to be talking about this book for years. For the rest of your life. If it's successful, this is a thing you're going to be talking about. And you got to know why you care. It can't just be like KJ was saying, I feel called or I have these characters speak to me or whatever. It's like, why? Like, what do you believe really deep down about yourself and this thing? So I want to call out Tanya, who is herself a book coach, Tanya Brooking, and in
Before
training
you
to be
do, people are asking
a
for the name of the K-pop Demon Hunters writer.
Mark Sonnenblick. His name's Mark Sonnenblick. Um, yeah, and it's just so funny because you'll if you look him up or you listen to any of that, they have really interesting recordings about how the creative process that they went through and the constraint that created this hit. There were so many constraints they had to work within, and it's just been really fun to watch and listen to him. And in my mind, he's a child, but he's actually a grown adult who's now doing all this stuff. Um,
Tanya.
so Tanya, now I've lost Tanya. I'm going back to her. Okay, so she says her why. Women are usually vilified for the same behaviors that are acceptable in men. My main character personifies that hypocrisy, and her vulnerability made me want to give her a win for all women who've made self-damaging choices and or who live authentic lives. And I think there's more. But what I would say is great. And what else? Why do you care about that? What is it about? What do you believe in your gut? So it's the difference between saying it in your head. So it's like that's the intellectual, and then like feeling it in your body, feeling it in your body like what, like this is what I think or believe. And it doesn't have to be something about grief or injustice or identity or belonging or anything like that. It can be something lighter. It can be something, it doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be, you really have to get down to what you feel. And here's the secret to when you're there. How do you know when you're there? You can't ask why anymore. You've written something that just is almost like a mic drop, and you'll feel it in your body, and here's the key, other people will feel it too. You'll share it to other people and they'll go, "Oh, oh, got it. Like this matters to you." So I'm also gonna call out Danielle, who said, "I'm writing memoir. I spent decades certain I was unlovable. This is a story of how I proved myself spectacularly wrong." I don't know about you, but I read that and I feel that mic drop. Like, oh, that's pretty pretty deep and profound. I would still push yourself to ask why even again to see if you can get anything even more than that, like anger or rage or hurt, or sadness. But again, we're trying to get emotion. Writing is about emotion, whether you're writing nonfiction, memoir, or fiction. Writing is about emotion. And so that's why we start with what your emotion is.
So here,
So,
Susan Corbin said, "My why is that I didn't feel the feelings during the experience." And I happen to know that she's writing about a memoir that's got grief and some caregiving experiences. So she says, "I want to explore those feelings and the meaning of those experiences, and ask, and did they have meaning?" And so when I try to push back on, I mean, what I it's not exactly pushing back at that. I actually sort of want to pull something else out there, which I think the question is why. Maybe she's asking herself, why could I not feel this at the time? And what would it have meant to feel this at the time? And, did I miss something? Do I wish I had felt it? Do and those are sort of questions to ask yourself around that. Or am I grateful that I could hold it at a distance, but I'm ready to bring it in now? That would be another sort of a why there. I feel like there's a lot, like that's a really big thing that she's said out there, and there's a lot to ask herself within that's going to be really interesting. When I do why, I just riff. Like Jenny said, it was 800 words, and I think I deleted some. I just why? I goes, because of this, because of that, because of this, because I love this, because I like because this interests me. Why? And then I'll throw in like, well, why this bit of the plot and why that, and then I sort of slowly make my way down to um this other why.
yeah. Danielle, I saw your follow-up. You said this is a book I was searching for like a dog to a bone when I felt alone. So I wanna ask again, why? Why were you searching? Why did you think a book was gonna answer? So just keep pushing yourselves to get even further and further and further down to that deep level. Una, I see you sharing that quote. That was from our recent podcast with Carolyn, a physician who writes about grief and writing. And she said, we write to have power over something we can never control, the past. So you're writing about that. That's probably your point. Your why is, why do you care? Why in your life does this matter? What what is it, the thing that's propelling you? And I just want to talk about why we do this. Why do we start with why? Why do we push so hard on why? Why does it matter so much? And here is the truth of it. If somebody can write this well, meaning they know themselves well enough, they know their material well enough, they understand their motivations well enough, they are willing to be vulnerable and share them, I can almost guarantee that they're going to be able to write that book. If somebody is being skimpy with their emotions or hedging their bets or sort of making things a little more comfortable for themselves or not saying the thing that they really want to say, it will resonate like a pebble dropped in a pond through that whole book. There'll be a muted quality to the whole book. The ability to know your own heart is really what we're talking about here. And it sounds like some of you have been listening to my Write Big sessions and the ones KJ's been doing with me as well. And this is what this is all about is, can you be brave enough to say what you really think, to write what you really think? And the reason we push and we push and we push on this is because we're all trained to get along, to be nice, to now in the world we live in, we're trained on sound bites and things tied up with a little bow and listicles and on this sort of top level thing. But when you read something that really gets down to a deeper level, that that's what gets the reader. That's what the readers connect to, is you got to connect in it to yourself before you can connect to it in the reader. So um we're just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing because we want to see you get that real um vulnerability. And that back to my friend who's going to win all the awards, not my friend, my kid's friend who's going to win all the awards. um y- y- you know it's interesting when you watch somebody run the gauntlet, the media gauntlet like that with their story, and tell that same story over and over and over again, and hear the passion come from it over and over and over again. That's not something you can manufacture. You just really can't. And that's what we're looking for, is the thing that Chat GPT can't say better than you. So um that's why we're pushing. So we sort of silenced the chat, which makes me worried. Ooh, I don't know your name, Authors and Orators Studio, but yes, she said, one of my clients decided to stop working on her current book after one moment of pushback. I bet that if she had really found her why, no one could knock her off her feet about it. That's it. That's it. It is awful. I agree with that, but also if you can have that core of your own knowing, you're gonna be able to navigate all of this so much better. I do wanna make sure we have time for the second, piece of this week's homework, which is, what's your point? And these 2, oh, hi, Donna. Um I didn't know that was your official, company name. Um, so the second piece of the homework, they're intimately connected. Why do you wanna write this book, and what's your point? So what's your point is the reader-facing part of this. The why is the internal part of it. The what do you want externally? Why are you doing this? And why are you doing it internally? I did see somebody ask about, what if your why is, I wanna write a bestseller? That's great. You hold that external why right along your internal why. They're woven together, and then we weave in, what's your point? And this one is about, what do you want to say to people? What do you wish them to know? What's your argument? And if that is for a story or a memoir, you're making an argument. So I saw some people above talking about wanting to write about caregivers, or wanting to write about choices that they made in regard to being a parent, I think. So that's the plot. That's what happens. That's what the reader's going to follow. But what do you want them to know, or feel at the end of your book, whether it's nonfiction, memoir, or fiction? What do you want them to to feel? It's reading is a transformation. And I'm going to put KJ on the spot here. She didn't know I was going to do this, but I know you read and loved this book, and I read and love this book, and everybody on the planet seems to be reading and loving this book right now, which is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. And what would you say the point of that book was for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in English class. Um, and this is why I typically resist the point, but that book absolutely had a point, and I think the one that leaps out to me is, don't leave revealing yourself until it's too late.
Ooh, that's good. If anybody read that book, feel free to chime in the chat.
I have recently read so this I find this is often true. When you read a novel that really resonates with you, you will somehow find yourself reading a nonfiction book that has the same point. So I have it's an advance, so y'all won't have read it yet, but I have an advance on my bedside table called Revealing. And it's I believe the subtitle is something along the lines of the hidden power of oversharing. And the thesis is we all think that we shouldn't overshare, and we should keep ourselves to ourselves, and sort of keep the messy parts of ourselves inside, except in appropriate, when appropriate scenarios. But no, that you'll connect better if, within reason, you don't really want to sit next to the oversharer on a plane, but at a party, to actually talk about, something that you're worried about, your biggest fear of the moment, that sort of thing. And I feel like that really goes with the correspondent, who the protagonist was a woman who really didn't tell anyone anything, to the point where everyone had left her, and she was reaching out with her letters. Um, so I feel like those go together, and I think it's almost a good test of your why. Like, I can tell you the nonfiction book that goes with the why of the thing that I'm working on right now. It's Oliver Burkeman's, um, either Meditation for Mortals or the other.
4,000 Weeks.
Yes, yeah.
That one?
Yeah, those are it. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Because sometimes people push back against this and say, "Oh, well, novels don't have a point," or, "My point of my memoirs, I just want people not to suffer the way I suffered," or that sort of thing. But the way to think about point is, back to the award show thing. When you're on the awards show, they're not asking you about your plot. They're not asking you what happens in this book. They're not asking you, if it's nonfiction, what's the argument that you're teaching people. They're asking you what's the takeaway for people? What's the transformation? What are they going to get out of this? So I would love if people are willing to share, just take a stab. Like, we're just here day one. We're just beginning. We don't even know each other. We don't know anything, but take a stab at what is the point of your book? Um, and let's see if we can get some folks
Yeah. And
share.
while we do, I wanted to remind people, um, that the bumper sticker point probably is a cliche. People will read shelves of books on the point, Love Conquers All. People will read shelves of books on the point, Cheaters Never Prosper. Those are those are great. Those are great points. I, you maybe want to have another way to, and yeah, Denise, bad decisions don't have to ruin your life. People will read shelves of books on, I mean, I can name a bunch of books on that topic, but also more, please. I mean, that's the joy of being a writer, is that nobody was ever like, well, I read a romance. I'm done with that now. What else? What else you got? That's
I
not how
love
people work.
I love Una's parents are influencers too. Great. And Emily Weinrock, this is fantastic. High level political and religious change can have unexpected trickle down effects for regular people's everyday lives, but regular people's reactions or resistance to those changes at the personal or local level can also have triple up effects too. Fantastic, right? It's like you're taking a stand, you're putting a stake in the ground, you're telling us what you actually want us to believe or know. Um, these are great. I find it curious that people seem Jess, that's awesome. You don't
Yeah,
have to
Justin's
be
a
the
good one.
person
Yeah.
everyone says you are. Um, you can't change the world without upsetting people. Ugh, that's so real. I felt
Yeah.
that today a lot. That's so real,
If
like
you're
literally
for
today.
everyone, you're for no one. And
Yeah.
what is it? Well-behaved women rarely make history. That's a cliche, but it's a great one. And like, you could write 1,000 stories on that. But that's the other way you got to a point. Could you hand that point to 100 people and they would all write a totally different book than what you're writing?
Yeah. Yeah. These are great. I find it curious that oh, hi, Joey Overstreet. Nice to see you here.
People really
My
have one lines about their points. I'm impressed.
I was gonna say it, I find it
Your point
curious.
my point is even longer than the 800 words if I go and look at that. It's hideously long. But I boiled it. I did it.
These are great points. I feel that these are great. So I want to call out Lindsay McAdam, if you don't mind. You can't say no. I'll try to be gentle.
Hey.
So grief burrows itself into the crevices of your life. First of all, that's beautiful and poetic, but also you can, and it's a statement, but do you see how it's not a point quite yet? It's not something you believe about that or want to argue or could convince about that. Like, what about that? Is that, um, and like, I want to ask you, and so when we're doing the why, you ask why? When you're doing the point, you want to say, and so, And so until you can't answer that anymore. So grief burrows itself into the crevices of your life. I want to say to you, and I want to hear your answer if you want to put it in the chat. Like, and what does that say about what we should do with grief or how we should respond to grief or life? Um, what is the next beat of that? You must confront it. Okay, that's it. So now we're starting to get at something. You can feel that, right? So I would love, I mean, the poetry of your first line is great. I would love um something that combines that. Like it's going to burrow itself in unless you confront it or until you confront it or something like that. So again, you're up on a soapbox. What do you stand for? What is your argument? What is your point? And here's the thing I want to say about that. Um, the why we were pushing to get deeper on a deeper emotional level, on the point we push to get that bold that bold statement, because people are going to fight you. They just are. The second you write anything about anything, somebody's going to disagree with you, or they're going to say, well, that's crazy. I think this other thing, or you're wrong, or worse, they're going to come at you in a worse way. And sort of what Donna was sharing earlier, you can't be knocked off what you believe if you start with what you believe, with what's true for you. That's the why. And what you actually believe you want to teach or share with people. That's the point. Those two things, nobody can take those away from you, no matter what they say or how they come at you or what negative criticism you get or whatever the thing is, that's going to hold you firm.
I
So,
realized as I was working on my point for the thing that I'm working on right now, that my point is something I would like my father to learn. That's I would
ooh,
really just like to just and my children, actually, but that's a different thing. My point is something I work to understand myself, and then I would really just like this person who at 87 is never he's actually 84. He would hate that. He's not here. Woo! He's not gonna learn this at this point. So, I just need to say it. I just
yeah, yeah.
and also I have a protagonist who's gonna deal with the fact that somebody else in her life is not also never gonna learn it. Never, never. It's not gonna happen. And
Yeah.
that
So,
was it.
so Donna, Authors and Orator Studio says after retirement, you can life to the edge. Death requires no practice. So that's interesting. There's some interesting ideas in there, but again, I want to know. It's like that, and so, you can live life to the edge. Should you? Do you believe that one should? That's the thing I want, that soapbox, like, hear ye, I have something I want to say. Because at
Yeah.
the
Are you
very
saying this is the moment to start skydiving? Or
right.
are you saying this is the moment to, stop, being polite to people? Or, um I love death requires no practice.
Yeah, that's so good. What a good line. But I want more, right? I want more. Um, and the thing about how do you know when you have your point right is it might feel a little cliche, but you can see inside what that is gonna the meaning of it. You can feel that meaning of it, and you're excited to talk about this too. Like, KJ, I love that thing about your dad. Like, you want to convince people, because here's the thing, nobody writes a book to stay alone in their house. We write books because we want to be heard. We want to take up space. We want to shout out and have people listen. That's what writing is, for introverted people often, where we're not maybe literally out there shouting, but we want to be heard. And so if you're going to take up that space, if you're going to write big and you're going to do this big work, you want to be able to say the thing that you really want believe, and you want to call people into that topic that you really want to talk about. And so pushing yourself here is the point. The point of the point. Anybody else want to share? Um
Nonfiction? This is something we talk about on the podcast a lot. If your book is successful, you will be talking about it for the rest of your life. You will always be the author of The Gift of Failure. You will always be the author of Eat, Pray, Drink, Eat, Pray, Love. You will always be the and you want that. If you are sort of going, well, this is what I want right now, then this is not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you all hear, I have not read the book. It's the Ann Packer book that Oprah picked for her book club. Does anybody know the title of that? I bet somebody does in the chat. I heard the podcast where
Packer?
Oprah
Patchett.
Packer, Ann Packer, she wrote a
Ann
book called
Packer, author.
The Dive from Clausen's Pier back in the day, which was so good, and this new one. So this new one is
Some Bright
Some Bright
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Thank you, Anne. So you got to listen to this podcast with Oprah and Ann Packer because this novel is so controversial. Its plot is so controversial. And I'm not giving anything away because it's right on all the jacket copy. But there's a woman who's got a terminal diagnosis. She's dying. That's how the book opens. And she has been married for 40 years and she kicks her husband out, meaning she divorces him because she wishes to die with her girlfriends by her side, not her husband. And so the question is about to what extent do we honor the wishes of the dying, even if it hurts the living? And what's interesting is the intense emotion on all sides of that question in this podcast with Oprah. I actually think Oprah was a terrible interviewer on this particular podcast. She was constantly either cutting Ann Packer off or filling in the blank for her. Like she'd ask the question and sort of answer it. I thought it was a little odd. But what I found fascinating was everybody was angry. Everybody was upset. Everybody was engaged in this, like, how could you? And how could you not? And well, my experience this, and well, my experience that, and well, women, well, men, well, marriage, well, this, like high emotion around this
That's
idea.
how you know you have something good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
As I hear that, I'm thinking, man, what is it? What can I call out in my book that would get people that heated?
Yeah. You want people to have an opinion, to push back.
Yeah.
So the thing that I saw about Una reading the angry 1-star reviews, if you don't have angry 1-stars reviews, you haven't said anything. You're just, it's like ChatGPT could write something that's sort of bland, and in the middle, we want what you actually think and believe and want to stand up and fight for. This is the bedrock of great writing is what do you believe? What do you really want to say? What do you want us to know? What is the real emotion that is driving all of this? And if we can strip away what the plot is or what the argument is or what the arc of change is going to be or any of that at the very beginning to get down to these things, it's going to serve you so well. And wait, what? I'm reading Wendy's thing. She said, I had somebody tell me something I feel strongly should be left out. Something I feel strongly should be left out.
Something I feel strongly about. So someone said,
should be left out. Wow. Because it won't get past editors. That's an interesting opinion. I don't know that I agree with that. What do you think, KJ?
I don't, but it's so this is where you hit a very interesting line, and this is one of the reasons to think about that about this particular topic. So as Jenny said, we want to meet the middle of what you want to write and what you want people to hear, and also what the market will be interested in if you are planning to traditionally publish your book. And we tend to skew that way for the purposes of this, because even if you're not, your independently published book will have far greater success if you have worked through all of this. So there's that. But if people are just like, well, for example, it is a very common thing to say is that editors don't want books about writers. People don't want writers as protagonists. I could go over there and yank for you, like Emily Henry's like, heck, The Correspondence. She was a letter writer. There's just endless books about with writers as protagonists. But people will say, well, editors don't want that. And editors will actually say, and agents will say, well, people don't want that. And what that kind of means is they don't want the easy books about that.
They don't want it done badly.
They don't
Right?
want it done badly, and it often is. So
And
when
and
somebody
I
says, "You gotta leave this out because editors won't like it," what you maybe should hear is, "This should be really important, so important to you that you're gonna do it so well that editors are gonna like it anyway."
Yeah. Yeah, because you can say that, and we hear this about, everything all the time, is like, "Oh, don't use a prologue, nobody likes prologues. Oh, don't do multiple POV, da, 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 nobody likes that. Oh, they're not buying vampire
Vampire book.
whatever anymore."
There you
Yeah.
go.
"Oh, they're this or that." It's like, none of that is true.
No.
None of that is true if you do it well, if you tap into this core belief. And I think this is becoming, I mean, I can't remember when I developed the blueprint or brought it to life or even published that book, but I can tell you it was way before AI was a thing anybody even thought was happening. And now that AI is here, I think this is even more true and more important to get down to the thing. So I think Wendy, our our opinion is not that.
Yeah.
I would be curious if you're willing to share in the chat, what is it that you feel strongly? What's your point? I'd love to hear that.
I
Um,
had an experience with one of my books where, I said and I should have handled this differently, so I wouldn't say this anywhere else. This is maybe too public a forum of which to say it. But, I said, "The thing that really interests me about this book is, why some people want fame and some people don't." And my editor literally said, "That doesn't interest me." And the answer to that probably should have been, "Then we should not work on this book together." And that's not what I said, and the book ended up being about something else, and it is still about something that's important to me, but now I still have that unexplored, thing that still does deeply interesting me, which is the question of why some people want fame and some people don't, and it interests a lot of people. I don't know why. It may have just been a momentary thing, but it's stuck with me.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm seeing Wendy answering that the leading cause of death
Oh.
of pregnant women is murder in the US. My victims were pregnant women. I'm not sure what she means by my victims.
So, no,
Um,
she's got a serial killer book, and in it, the victims are pregnant women, and I
got it,
can
got it, got it.
yeah, I could see I mean, yeah, that's not but I I mean, I just read the heck out of a Karen Slaughter book in which, teenage girls of course, teenage girls are everybody's favorite victim, but, and children were the victims and boy, it's an amazing book. I would not that is a core piece, I think, of what you're working on, so I wouldn't let that stop me. I don't know.
I mean, sure. Are there going to be some editors that say, yeah, no, I won't touch that? Of course. Are there going to be some readers that say, yeah, no, I would never? Of course. And are there going to be some who will? A lot who will? Probably. And if you get down to why you care about that so much and what your point is, and you bring that in, I think that is not a problem.
I think
Um,
it's better to have a book that some, like, editors are like because, like, it's that Oprah thing. It's controversy, it's interesting, it's powerful, it's passionate. I mean, better that than oatmeal. Oatmeal is fine, but I don't think you wanna write it.
yeah, yeah. And Danielle, thank you for sharing that, so that people who think it's too late, they're too broken, or they've missed their chance Here's the point. You don't need to be fixed to deserve love and family. You don't need to be young to start over. And the terrifying hard work of, I think, transformation is what you mean, is worth it because connection, family, and belonging are possible even when you're certain they're not. So this is great. You can feel the passion in this. You can start getting down to it and, trying to get it billboardy and really short, snappy might help you. It might not, but I think it's great. So,
We should move into so if you're writing nonfiction, there's a third piece of your assignment this week. And often when it comes to memoir, you need to do the nonfiction assignments as well. So you might want to at least give this one a little bit of thought. So Jenny, can you talk about this additional question for the nonfiction writers?
maybe I just lost my place, but I'm
The
coming.
question is, why are you the best person to write this book?
Got
So
it. Got
you
it.
make it, why this? What's your point? Why you?
Yeah.
And that's
So, so this is not give me all your credentials and your academic degrees and your, proof of why you get to talk about this for nonfiction. That may, in fact, be part of it, but it doesn't have to be. What I mean by this question is, why are you the best person to write this book? Is That's actually what publishers are going to ask is why do we want to hear from this person about this thing? And what is it about their lived experience, their maybe it's the fact that you've researched and done all the work or something or maybe not, but you have to know why you. And if you're not sure or if you think well, actually somebody else would be better off writing about this topic than me or if somebody else swoops in and writes about this topic, I'm screwed. You've got to be able to know why you have the best perspective to write that book. And some of the best examples of this might be, a book about potty training, for example. You could be a researcher who's done research on this. You could be a person who's run daycare and had thousands and thousands and thousands of toddlers come through your daycare. I have a toddler grandkid, so this is the topic that came to my head, right? You could be a mother of five. You could be the person in your neighborhood that everybody comes to because you had such a great success with this. Like there's so many reasons why you might be the right person to write this book. There's no right answer, but you have to know why. You have to know what is it about your lived experience and your expertise that makes you the person
and you have
who
to be willing to claim that
claim that.
out loud, audibly in public places without a lot of. I mean, just start that now. Without a lot of well, I know potty training isn't very important, or I mean, I know I'm just a mom, but yeah.
Right. No.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it is, Jess, you make a really good point, and you would know. This is not about platform. How many followers do you
No,
have? How many numbers do you have? What's your reach? Are you an influencer? Blah, blah, blah. None of that. This is why are you the best person to tell us about this thing? And I use the potty training example because there's so many different kinds of people that could talk about that could write something interesting for the audience that they're writing for. And probably that audience would buy all those books. So we want to know why you, and also why now, because nonfiction has to have a timely edge or aspect to it. It's going to come out into, I mean, we don't know. It's the future. Who knows what 2 years from now or 3 years from now is going to be, but it's got to have some sort of urgency for the social zeitgeist. So it's what do you know about that? What do you know about why we need this now? What do you believe about that piece? So what are you bringing to the conversation is for nonfiction. You've got to have that piece. This is not for fiction. It might be for memoir because there's a whole lot of people who are writing. I even in this chat about being a caregiver, for example, or going through grief, for example, and the why your immediate answer is going to be something like, well, because I lived it, I lived through it, I survived it, I experienced it, and that's good, but editors at those publishing houses are going to say, okay, but why this person who lived through it rather than the 47 other proposals that are on my desk right now? So you've got to know that
Why
piece.
you, and what do you bring that the readers need to hear?
Right.
Why can you, I had somebody ask me recently, well, does wouldn't the audience for a book about depression be everyone who's ever had depression? And so this is sort of a similar question. It's no, because nobody wants a book that's just about that. So the why you here is, what do you bring to all of the, I mean, almost all of us in some form or another are gonna care for an ailing person at some point in our lives. What do you bring me as the reader that will help me get through that experience? Why should I read your book instead of writing my own?
Yeah. Yeah. And Susan, you ask an excellent question for memoir. Thank you for asking this good question. You said with memoir, isn't the why you because you lived it? And that can't be the answer. It can't be the answer because there are so many people that lived it unless truly the thing that I sometimes think about when I think about this question is that woman who was in remember she was trapped on a boat in Antarctica and diagnosed herself with cancer and like performed surgery on her own self. It's like, okay, you get to write that book because nobody else has literally ever done that or lived through that. Or you're the person who climbed, you know, Everest and, like, there are certain things where, yes,
Climbing
no
Everest is not a good example.
well, not just anybody anymore. I'm thinking of, like, the first
The
person
fir
who did it,
the first
you know
woman.
exactly.
But even then, it would need to be, and you, have learned to show other women how to be firsts on there. I mean, there's even there, you need something
Right.
a little bit more. Memoir is very demanding.
It's super demanding, and that's why we're pushing you because I can promise you that if your reason for why you is because I lived and survived it, or your why is because I want other people to not suffer the way that I did, it's not enough. We gotta go further. We gotta get deeper.
All right, we
S
gotta wrap up. Speaking
We
of
do.
things we gotta do. So, um, so this is just the start. You will come back to your point and your why over and over and over again. Maybe we'll be doing a summer blueprint, and here we will be with your point and your why. I came back to my why today, and A was like, oh yeah, and B refined it. So you're starting with these. This is something you're going to build on, but do take the time this week. Don't just, jot something down and call it good. Spend some really good time on this. There's a lot of details in the assignment email, which you will get. You also should have, or can have, if you go to the podcast Substack, the entire schedule for this 6 weeks and the links to the blueprint for a book, actual books, the one for fiction, the one for nonfiction, and the one for memoir, and the links to the workbooks. I should tell you that the workbooks are set up with a 10-week structure because we'd been doing this in a 10-week program. We will tell you which things to do when. It's a 14-step thing anyway. So we're condensing it down so we can all get a really powerful start to our writing year.
And there's a thing tomorrow, right? For the schedule? Do I have
Oh,
that right?
what a great question. Let me pull that. Oh, tomorrow is Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yes, there's a ride along
Daniel.
tomorrow at 11:30 a.m.
And Danielle, I'm sorry, I keep getting your name wrong. That the purpose of those is to come and work on this and iterate and push and think and be there with other people that are doing the same thing. And there may be a little
Can
time.
ask questions, but the real
Yeah.
thing is it's just we're writing together, and we're you know we're keeping each other's butts in the chair.
And what I would suggest is come to those ride-alongs with KJ and say, I'm going to write for 20 minutes about my why. And I'm going to see if in that I get to anything different or deeper or better or something I like more. I'm going to write for 20 minutes about my point and see, is that really it? Or is it this? Or is it the other? Or, that like give yourself this space. This is again, it's not about cranking out words. It's about taking the time. So these times with KJ are, hey, I'm going to jump in and other people are going to be doing that. And it might be quiet, but that might be
Yeah,
lovely.
and if you
And
can come in, I mean, you can come in and out. It's an open Zoom room. If you can come for 45 minutes, come for 45 minutes. There'll be a chat. We'll all be on mute. I usually drop the mute at the end of the session, so I can answer questions. If questions pop up that feel like that they're worth, stopping us at the hour, I will do that. But the goal is quiet time to like to reserve, to take for yourself, to get the writing work done. And I will be sitting here and getting the writing work done.
I just want to thank everybody
Ready?
who was willing to share today and let us put you in a hot seat, even though you can't talk back. Thank you for that, showing up and being vulnerable and being willing to try. And we hope that you'll keep doing that because it makes it a great place to learn and to show other people the way. And it's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to turn this off exactly on time.
All right. We'll
And the
see y'all
recording
soon
of this will be on time.
in there.
Yeah, because that's what Substack does. All right. Shutting it down.
Bye.